the Big Frontier Acuity Group Breakfast with Bob Herbold. Bob is the former COO of Microsoft. He's now the principal of the Herbold Group. Spends his time between Seattle and Singapore.
In 1995, digital photography was just emerging. The internet was just emerging. And I never will forget at the end of '95, in the Christmas season, Bill Gates had a habit of giving his direct reports a Christmas present every year. And it was always a piece of technology that was right on the bleeding edge. And so in 1995, what we received was a Sony digital camera that took a floppy disk. Remember floppy disks? You would put a floppy disk in the side of this thing, take the pictures, pull out the floppy disk, put it in your PC, voila, there are the icons. Click on the icons, there are your pictures. It was marvelous to be able to see that. It was clear from observing this camera and what it could do that Kodak was in a very, very vulnerable situation. The only people that didn't recognize that seemed to be Kodak. And that's the story that we're about to unfold here. Big problems in 1999 for Kodak. The reaction was twofold. Number one, they produced a digital camera at long last called Advantex. Okay, now you have to be honest. Who in this room bought one of these cameras? Oh, we have the hand was up for a very brief second. So we won't go into that any further. But Advantex was a unique camera. It was the only digital camera ever made that required film. So what's the reaction of Wall Street? Advantex was Kodak's most discouraging failure. So that's obvious. It's actually silly what they did. In 2002. Stock price is now down to $40 a share. Remember, it was back up at 90 in 1995. The problem now is just purely digital. The film business is beginning to look like history. It is beat up badly. But the big news is digital replacements are growing at about 30% a year. Digital cameras are really hot. They're continuing to develop in terms of their capability. And the speed with which they're flying out of the stores is amazing. So the growth rates here are incredible. What did they do? This new CEO, who has now been in the job for 3 years, announces that Kodak is going to get serious about digital. Now this is 7 years after I received that Sony camera from Bill Gates. 7 years they announced they're going to get serious and launch a major effort in the digital area. That's incredible. The way they're going to do it is to generate the funds that will support this new project is they take them from the dividends. Now this story continues to roll out. Let's look 3 years later in 2005, what's happening. Stock price is now down to $26 from that $90 level. The problem now is clearly digital, which is outselling film 6-to-1. Today, that percentage is about 70 to 80 to 1. You would be hard pressed to go find this afternoon a film camera for sale in a store. It's that time again. So out the door goes the 25-year veteran, now almost a 30-year veteran of Kodak. His name is Dan Karp. Quite an embarrassing situation. Assessment, the world is changing faster than the Kodak can. On his way out the door, that CEO made a most amazing statement. Says, I saw my first digital camera Kodak 20 years ago. That's nice, I knew right then that the company was going to transform itself. Now wait a minute, pal, it hasn't transformed itself yet. But you knew 20 years ago that it needed to transform itself. He was the CEO. I mean, to make a statement like that, given what he's just been through, is just amazing. These human beings are incredible as to what they will do or not do. And so it's an incredible learning experience to study this case study and think about, these are smart people. These are well-trained people. Respected company in the 80s and 90s. How in the world does this happen? And in fact, that is the core question that I address in this book. How does this happen? This is not the only company that this has happened to. We'll talk a few more of these in a moment.